Nominees for Best Practical Effects: F1,
If I'm scared, at least my partner in crime, Brad, is scared with me.
3, 2, we're good. 1,
Action.
action.
We've had unprecedented access to the tracks.
Getting footage for this story
And pan.
is awesome. The energy of the crowd, all the F1 drivers, the cars. It's going to help give this film that kind of grounded quality that we're looking for.
28 years later.
How a world would rebuild itself after an apocalypse.
Initial conversations were often about imagining what does 28 years later mean. If the infection is still on Britain, what does the infection look like?
Get back to the truth.
How does the rest of the world respond to that? Has the country been quarantined, essentially abandoned? When countries collapse for one reason or another, they're often abandoned. There's a ruthless, pragmatic, dog-eat-dog dimension to the way these things play out.
Final Destination: Bloodlines.
Death sequences for a Final Destination movie is actually really hard because it needs to be both accessible and readily identifiable, a place that you or I have always found ourselves in, and then we have to imbue that location with a terrible, malevolent threat. And that's both the fun of the franchise, but it's difficult.
You can tell they put so much time into planning every little piece of it that it's kind of like walking into a play that's already been choreographed for you.
One of the great pleasures of making this film was working with Rachel, our production designer.
Rachel O'Toole did an amazing job creating the Skyview set.
She really brought an incredible eye of design, but also a love of the franchise. One of the key ideas that we all fell in love with was this idea that circles kill. The Skyview itself is round. The dance floor is round. Iris's pupil, her iris, is round.
The penny that kills them all?
You can just see almost every scene that motif is created as a way of showing that death is coming for you.
The 60s stuff was tons of fun to do. And then you're figuring out how you're going to do all the stunts, what's going to be required, and how that's all going to come together.
This set that we're standing in front of has 14 people falling to the ground countless times. And the tilted set has 20 lines to hover our performers above glass.
We worked with our stunt team to ensure that we could lay them all on the glass without them prematurely breaking the glass. And then
I don't think we've ever dropped 20 people all in one shot at one time.
We have the elements that we shot on blue screen, and there will also be some real elements that we shot on the restaurant set.
All our stunt team came together to do this incredible moment where one of our characters is lit on fire. The stunt woman, Yvette, she's an elderly woman, and she was very excited to do this full-body burn. The stunt team could think of anyone older that had ever done a full-body burn like that. So it seems like we may have broken the world record for oldest person on fire.
In the background, I can hear them getting ready to crush me to death. Blood's gonna come everywhere. They have built a life-size doll of me, a doppelganger. They put it next to me, and it freaked me out. The texture, everything, the coloring is me.
People are not gonna want to get into an elevator and be halfway in and out.
Superman.
Being a child, I loved the purity of Superman. It was a time when I was starting to understand what movies were.
James didn't know that Superman was in his future. He wasn't sure that that was the one he should be doing. And then he called me one day and he said, I have a way in. I know what I want to talk about.
I had been trying to crack it for years. This character's noble, and he's beautiful.
We just finished day 1 on Superman.
It's been a hell of a week at the office.
his scripts are so unique, his stories, they're heartfelt.
You know, we love the opportunity to play with the incredible DC library of characters and stories, and we really want to do justice for them.
Welcome to the Daily Planet. It's been so much fun to have the gang together finally.
I wear my trunks on the outside of my pants. Like, it's liberating.
James, in his stories, he does it with heart.
Superman is a character who's good.
Who is filled with hope. He saves people because it's the right thing to do. We could use a little bit more of that.
Superman was my original superhero, and it started on in comics, and I think it's going to be a game changer.
This is the beginning of the future. They are launching a new era right now.
It's the beginning of a whole new adventure and a whole new universe.
We're just getting started, and we're already deep in the DC universe. In James Gunn, we trust, and I think we can do it.
Mission Impossible Final Reckoning.
You can't imagine how physically punishing it was for Tom to be on the wing. The wind distorts your vision. It's almost impossible to breathe.
And Frankenstein.
When Guillermo and I first discussed how this creature's going to look, it was extremely broad. My objective was obviously Guillermo's script and then to do something that we hadn't seen before. In order for this particular version to not look like he's been stitched up after an accident, I made a lot of the shapes and forms and cuts in geometric shapes. So when you see this creature, you instantly know this is man-made. You know, Victor Frankenstein is not a butcher. He's trying to make the perfect man.
I was taken aback by it because I had this idea of what the creature is like in other iterations of Frankenstein that I've seen. But what I really loved and appreciated is kind of how it's scaled back in a way. There's a purity to it.
There's a few looks because we're actually growing with him as he's developing in the movie. So first we start off basically a baby, newborn. Then as he progresses, you'll start to see some fuzz appear. And then we move to his teenager stage. And then we have his fully realized romantic adult look.
I also wanted to do something with the coloring. At the end of the day, this is a man brought back from the dead, but it doesn't mean that he can't look beautiful. So the different variations of color on the face were to frame the face. Like if you look at his deltoid on his shoulders, the strips in here, one's red, one's blue, one's yellow. Guillermo and I realized that it's different people's parts of skin. They age different and they discolor different. So I just played around with colors and forms and shapes that would make the actor's body feel powerful and feel put together, but put together by a man.
Michael is genuinely one of the finest artists I've ever encountered. All I needed to be was the perfect still canvas for him to paint life onto.
When we're doing the makeup process for Jacob's head and hands, it's normally 3 of us. But when we do the full body, there's 5 of us on that. And literally for 9 hours, it's 5 of us constantly going. The full body is actually 42 pieces. And normally with a makeup like this, you can overlap an appliance. So you got a little room for error. But since I broke the makeup up along the actual cuts and stitches where Frankenstein put him together, like a jigsaw puzzle, it's very exacting and takes a little longer to apply, but look much more man-made.
Death. Now there lies the challenge.
The tricky thing about putting Oscar's character together was to make sure that there was always room to move somewhere. When we see him as a young man in medical academy, he's got sideburns and he's, quite rugged looking, and that's sort of essentially his best look in the movie.
Guillermo wanted to see Oscar's hair growing to show time passage. So the first look that you see him in is his own hair. Tim, who works with Oscar, joined us, and he did a beautiful job.
Fiona is so talented, and so seeing what I can do to support her world that she's created, it's amazing. So this was the first time that we've used his natural texture.
Never! Again will I make something like you wicked. Deformed.
At the wedding, Guillermo wanted the hair additions to show a mid-length because now he's falling apart, time has passed.
He starts to become much more broken down. So I started to remove elements of work that I would do to make Oscar look healthy, and the fatigue started to show, the exasperation and exhaustion started to show, and then it sort of makes its way through that look into his Arctic look. We actually started out with Oscar basically near death. He's been out in the Arctic. It's a severe exposure makeup. He's got frostbite.
Frankenstein's hair is long, it's messy, and he starts to resemble the creature.
Now,